Hello, everybody. Okay, today is part 3, the last part in this little series, because I was like, I've never done a little series before. Let's just break this up into little videos. So, hopefully that wasn't too annoying. This is tips and tricks. I couldn't have done this video had I not broken it up in little series, because these little tips and tricks came in from comments from everyone watching the videos. So, I tried some of them, and that's what we're going to do today. So, let's get started with it. Here's a whole little press-on set I made. And I don't know if you can tell that top center nail, just pay attention to that compared to the bottom nails and notice that the edges aren't as crisp. That's going to come into one of the tips we're doing today. Okay, the first suggestion we're going to do today came from Jen Thulhu. I hope I'm saying that right. At Jen Thulhu here on YouTube. And I have no idea, can I even at people on YouTube? I'm so bad at that aspect of these things. So maybe I'll figure that out by the time I post this. But I'm trying to give people credit for their ideas. Okay, she was wondering, hey, what if we used regular nail polish to put the large glitter on the nail so that we're not having to worry about the curing issues? So I took out my regular top coat from the box of shame of regular polish that, refuses to dry ever on my nails. And let's see what happened. So I'm just going to sprinkle my glitter out on a flatter surface. And I'm just going to use my very old bottle of Sally Hansen Miracle Gel or Gel Miracle, whatever it's called. It kind of has a slight UV thing to it, if I remember correctly. Like it said, if you go in UV sun, like outside, it will help it dry faster, kind of cure. So there's some little UV element to this whole series of gels, which is why I was using them before I switched over. And to get my initial thing of glitter on there, I'm just going to roll it into that thing of glitter like it's a caramel apple. I'm rolling in pecans. So just to get the glitter on there faster. Anything to speed up the process is a good thing. Once my initial little roll of glitter is on there, I'm just sort of mushing it around to start spreading it out across the nail. And then as soon as I noticed it kind of, the glitter wasn't really sticking as much anymore, then after my first initial full coat of this across the nail, now I'm going to go in and just do it in sections because I still don't want to unnecessarily chunk up the nail with layers and layers of top coat, regular polish, nail lacquer top coat, I guess. And I'll just speed through this because, obviously you get the point of this. I'm doing it in sections where I'm looking and seeing where I need glitter. Now, I guess I could glob on some polish there and then roll it again in the glitter. But then I'm kind of building up unnecessary thickness by putting a lot of glitter over areas that don't need it. So do what you will. I kind of still end up hand placing stuff just to keep the nail as thin as possible. Progress check. Okay, let's see. This is where we are so far. A little close up. So you can see I'm getting, little dried bits with the regular polish here and there on it. And it actually turns out being a good thing. It helps the Builder Gel top coat gel polish we put on top adhere much better. So this kind of ended up having several more wins than I thought it would. Okay, and here we are at the end of my glitter escapade. Look at how much glitter I was able to cram onto that nail. And it's sticking really well to the nail. And it's pretty thin. This enabled me to get a crap ton more glitter on there and still keep that nail pretty thin. If this had been gel polish we were doing that with, this would have been thicker. My only concern with this method is the longevity of the nail. Will that, if the regular polish is all the way to the edge of that nail, will that make the nail start to peel sooner? So I have not tested that part of it. So if anyone has, please leave a comment and let us know. Jen, you included, if you've gone ahead and done this. I just have not had time to do this on my actual nails and then let it, go through wear and tear for a week or two. So that's the only caveat with this. I love this. I just don't know how well it wears. I originally was thinking, don't put it to the edge, but it's kind of hard in practice to do that. So I don't know how feasible that really is. So that's really the only unknown. And because we have that nail lacquer already dried over the glitter, the gel polish adheres really well to it. It kind of takes care of that whole problem. Now, one thing I am going to do is, because that was regular polish, is I'm going to set that aside and let it dry for a bit before I'm encasing it in gel polish. All right, well, that one is set aside and drying. Here is our second little tip. I've purposely done a sort of sloppy nail for several reasons. We will see. This was a suggestion by Jane Logan 3930. She said she puts primer over it when she does glitter nails. And I had thought about trying that before, and I just never got around to it because I don't really use systems that use primer. I like just alcohol prep, more the Japanese style gel systems. But I do have some primer on hand, and I've been using it a little bit to see what it may or may not do for me. Now, you don't want to slather it on the nail. Just wipe most of it off the brush in the bottle and then stipple it on like this onto the nail. And you just want it to you want to see those little tiny beaded up drops on there. Now we're ready to go in with a builder gel, and here's another little tip. I think I did mention this in the second part towards the end, but I forgot. So I was doing, a clear builder gel, base gel. I forgot I had all of my favorite Zombie King builder gel top coats. They're basically non-wipe builder gels. So they should have, there's supposed to be these multifunctional gels that can adhere gems and things to the nails. And so I just got this one. This is the low. The black one that I've had for a while is the high, which has a little more volume to it. You can kind of do some 3D artwork with it if you kind of cure in between at stages. The low gel, this is the first I'm using it. I really like the consistency of it. It doesn't feel that much thinner than the other one, but I have not tested it as far as kind of doing a 3D line work swoop to see how quickly it starts to self-level compared to the black jug or jar. So I can't really say much more. I enjoyed the consistency of using this still. It had enough volume and viscosity to it to make it feel nice as you were applying it. And now let's take a look at this before we put it in the lamp to cure. We had our primer on there, and look at how well that builder gel adhered onto the surface. We're not getting any pits. The only weirdness we're getting is because I sloppily put that glitter on and it's hanging at weird off angles and not laying nicely on the nail. So the primer works perfect. Another great tip. Okay, now let's go back to our Miracle Gel nail. And I just want to show you how nicely the builder gel layer goes over the dried nail lacquer. Okay, next tip. In my right hand is the better nail with nail lacquer. The left hand has my sloppy one where I purposely placed the glitter poorly. If you want these nails to have a nice finish, you're going to probably have to do a tiny bit of filing. Now on the nicer nail, I really only have to do a little bit on the edges, and frankly, since this is the one we use regular nail polish on, this may actually help the nail last and not get any weird premature peeling, which honestly, I don't know if that will happen, but that's the unknown. So this step may even kind of eliminate the possibility of that. But if you have watched all of these videos, you will know that filing, if you start to hit the actual glitter layer, you are going to scrape the color off of the glitter, and you are going to have these scrapey silver areas on your nail. And the great tip to take care of this is from OG Becky Lay. She used to do resin tumblers, and she suggested that you just use a Sharpie marker that's even just a similar color to the glitter you're using, and that makes it basically disappear once you have the top coat on. And I was just like, oh my God, that is brilliant. I love it. And frankly, you could use alcohol ink or anything similar that you have on hand. And I have gone ahead and I've added that Sally Hansen top coat and a set of markers that has very similar colors to all these glitters to that original Amazon list. I'm keeping everything under that same round glitter tutorial list. Now here's the one thing I learned. If you have a really sloppy nail and you've just filed everywhere all over it and you've really nicked a lot of the edges of the glitter, you've basically created a textured nail now with that filing. And now when you are going in with this marker, that marker is not just sitting on the surface, it's going into all of those micro scratches from the file. So you have just softened the entire look of the nail. It's not necessarily bad, because remember I said I wanted you to remember that top center nail? that's also what I did on that one. It just gives it a softer, slightly different look. It only is potentially a problem if you are doing a whole set of nails and you only do that on 1 or 2 nails. It might be a little noticeable. There is a noticeable softness to them. Here, let's just look at these 2 close up. Now you can kind of really see that slightly different feel. This is beautiful looking. It's just that you kind of want to do that with all of them or none of them. I like the look of that. It has a much more pink look, cohesive look. This one has really nice, more metallic, sharp edges and reflective things to it. So filing that whole nail and then putting a lot of Sharpie or alcohol ink in it, the ink just seeps into all those little crevices and accentuates the softness, whereas the other nail isn't going to have that effect at all. Now, I will say these are the 2 that I've done in this video, and the one on the right is the one that was the sloppy one that I did more marker work on, but the one we're looking at right now is still sort of the in-between nail compared to the one I had just showed that is really soft and pink looking. That one, I was even coloring in the clear areas around. I really did a lot of marker work. So it's not just the filing, it's the filing and then doing a lot of marker work over the filing. Now, somebody, after I had already recorded this video, had commented that they like to use a clear jelly stamper to pick up the glitter and place it on the nail. And that's a pretty good idea. I did it, and it was still kind of finicky because you're picking up whole groups of glitter then. So it depends on the type of pattern you're doing. I probably just need to mess with it a little more. And maybe even if you have just a chunk of an old one, that could be a really just good pickup tool to have around for this kind of stuff, because it is kind of a pain using a toothpick and having to put some sort of, wet gel or something on it to make the glitter stick to it. But yeah, that's our tips and tricks video. We've got using a regular nail lacquer top coat to apply the glitter, which I think works great, but has an unknown of the longevity, but also helps the subsequent gel layers adhere and really gives us a really thin nail for a lot of glitter. We've got the option of using a non-wipe builder gel top coat hybrid so that we can eliminate the regular old builder gel altogether. And then we've also got using our prep bonder or a primer if we are going to stick with using a gel to attach the glitter to help those subsequent coats stick. And then we've got our marker to help fix any filing we have to do, and which can become its own look in and of itself and give it a softer pink look. And see, we all just came together and helped each other make better nails. So thanks to everyone who commented.